welcome back to day 3 of the North American Spring Playoffs. My name is Quickshot, and I am here at the analyst desk with Kobe and Saint Vicious once more. Welcome back to the desk, guys. We're about to get into the final, but before we do, we're just going to jump onto the title match. But first, let's start it again. Let's get to Twitter and see what you guys have been saying. Earlier in the broadcast, we asked you, who is your North American LCS Spring Playoff MVP and why? And here's what you wrote in with. From @HighRulesJester. For me, it can't be anyone but Dexter for CLG. Not to discredit the rest, but how they've turned it around with him is amazing. What's your take?
I mean, you got to give him credit for when he joined the team, they look like a completely new team, but saying you can't give it to anyone else on the team that has Afro Moo on it, yeah, come on.
That's true, especially after that last game. The next one from @AndersTV. My LCS playoff MVP has to be Xpecial. His hook on Link in Game 2 versus CLG may very well be the sole reason they're in the finals. What do you think, Saint?
For that situation, I have to agree. It seems like Xpecial is just always in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it has been delivering for a very long time. Now, the next tweet comes from @Kibbage. Kibbage? Don't know, however you say that. I wish I could say all of Cloud9 was my MVP, but it's probably balls. Guys got dominating presence in the top lane that can't be stopped.
Yeah,
Kobe?
And he's consistent. He's not one of those top laners that just wins really hard sometimes and snowballs really badly for your team sometimes. He's always a very strong performer for the team.
Yeah, I personally called him out before IEM and said, is he going to deliver at Intel Extreme Masters World Championships? He did, and he has been doing it the entire time. Thank you to everyone who wrote in. Join in the conversation. Tweet us @LOL Esports and use that hashtag LCS. Now, we turn to two teams that are no strangers to the MVP title. But for Team SoloMid and Cloud9, it's the title of Spring Split Champions they're focused on now.
Our final battle is going to be Cloud9.
TSM has always been our toughest opponent.
They're honestly the best team in NA right now.
This is a really big match because if we win this, we're finally back to #1 in NA. We really want our throne back.
We've dealt with the whole season being behind TSM, and now we actually get to fight them for the first place.
We're both really good teams, and I feel like the places where C9 used to outplay us, we've improved on those parts very, very much.
TSM versus C9 is going to be like an all-out brawl.
I think there'll either be a lot of deaths or there'll be a lot of objectives, just a lot of fights.
There might be a stomp in one of these just because of how we play. Maybe like a level 1 invade where we cross pass and just all-out brawl, something like that.
Hopefully now we can show that with Bjergsen back that we can actually beat them.
For the MVP voting, I was second and Bjergsen was first, so while I do agree he's probably better than me, there's still a little bit of that rivalry, like, oh, I could have gotten first, so it's so close.
Best 5A is usually tricky. Both teams just have to have the endurance to keep playing as well as they could by the final game, because if you don't, then you could just lose the series like that.
Both teams with a lot of pressure, a lot of hope to perform and outshine their opponents. I want to get your predictions on who is going to take this series. Saint, who is going to win? And I'm going to put you on the spot with what score?
What score? Before I would say it'd be a Cloud9 sweep, but after watching those games yesterday where both teams seem to have a struggle in their matches, even though Cloud9 did 2-0, I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1 for Cloud9.
3-1 to Cloud9. Kobe, what is your lock-in?
I definitely am split now. I'm still going to go with Cloud9 just because of the history between the two teams. They have a ridiculous performance against TSM, and they haven't ever lost a playoff game ever. So I'm still going to pick Cloud9, but I think they will lose a playoff game here versus TSM. Actually, I'm going to go with 2 games. I think it'll go full 5.
Full 5 all the way. So 3-1 and 3-2. Both of the analysts in favor of Cloud9. We'll see if that prediction comes true. We're going to send it over the studio to Freakin' Jat to take us into the game.
Thank you very much, Quickshot. Now, guys, without further ado, it's time for the big showdown, a best-of-5 series that will determine our 2014 Spring Champions and which team will travel to All-Stars Paris to represent North America. It's time for Cloud9 versus Team SoloMid. Now, Jat, this may be familiar to some of the fans at home. It's a repeat of the 2013 Summer Playoffs.
Yeah, and just like last year, Cloud9 is rolling through the playoffs. They advanced through the semifinals with a 2-0 sweep. When you added that to their last playoff records, Cloud9 has never lost a North American LCS playoff game. And also, if you count the regular season of this year, with the 2 games they won in the playoffs, they'd be on a 15-game winning streak. And this has historically been a favorable matchup for Cloud9. They are 10-1 against Team SoloMid Lifetime, which is daunting when you consider TSM has to beat them not once, but 3 times to reclaim first and take the title of Spring Split champs.
But of course, Team SoloMid faced tough semifinal competition in Counter Logic Gaming, and they came out of it looking stronger than they have in weeks.
Absolutely. They gave up a big loss in their first game to CLG, but in their second game, they managed to survive an early onslaught and then turn the tide. The whole team began to rally behind Bjergsen, and Bjergsen got that first pentakill in the North American LCS for 2014. By the end of the series, the team was looking revitalized and much more confident.
And we'll see if that confidence can carry them now into the grand finals. We're going to start with the starting lineups here. On the blue side is Cloud9. Balls in the top lane, Meteos in the jungle, High in mid, Sneaky on AD carry, LemonNation on support, and the crowd behind them.
Yeah, and on the red side is going to be Team SoloMid. Dyrus in the top lane, TheOddOne in the jungle, Bjergsen in mid, WildTurtle on AD carry, and Xpecial on support.
And even more of the crowd behind them. Well, it's going to take us to our featured matchup. High versus Bjergsen
from Team SoloMid, obviously. Bjergsen has been in the limelight since he joined TSM this year, and he put up some huge numbers. He set the record for highest average kills per game with 7.05. He has the most kill in the regular season, despite missing 5 games. We got some back and forth here as well. He also got that pentakill yesterday on Karma, a champ he hasn't even played, Freak.
Man, this is just so fun. I don't even want to read because I just want to listen to them some more, even though I know the next word coming out of their mouths is 9 and then Cloud again. It's just fun to listen to. High, definitely voting for his favorite team as well. Looks like Sneaky's helping out with that one. So picking up a solo lane support champion is actually something we expected High to be playing, but it was Bjergsen there.
Yeah, I mean, while High is a great player and Bjergsen wins lanes so much, High generally focuses on winning the game. He won't necessarily beat Bjergsen in CS, but he will probably place more wards than him. He may have more overall map pressure, and he might pick a better team fight champion. He has more assists than anyone else in the LCS for mid laners with 200. So 2 very different players here, but they both make big impacts for their teams.
And we'll see which impact ends up being greater for this one. Support mid laner versus carry mid laner. That's the real test for these 2 teams. And also the entire team built around them. I know you talked in the very beginning, Balls versus Dyrus being a close matchup as well.
Yeah, the solo lane matchups, if it even evens out that way, TSM feels like they should have the edge because they played so conventionally, and the time that TSM did beat Cloud9 this year, it was with those lane matchups. And it's even funnier, just to go back to that featured matchup, in the semifinals, Bjergsen is the one who played the support mid laner with Karma, and High was playing LeBlanc. So they're definitely versatile as well.
And we'll see which type of mid laner then comes out. The Soraka banned away from Cloud9, no surprise there. The Mundo away from Dyrus, something that Balls pretty much never plays. He's never been the guy to play the hyper-passive laners. Like, as far late games he goes, kind of like Jax, but generally speaking, Balls wants to bully stuff out. The Jax does get banned away there. The Nocturne away from TheOddOne.
Yeah,
it's actually banned by Balls.
It's really interesting how you have these kind of pocket metas throughout the teams as they're practicing, because when these North American teams are coming towards the playoffs, they kind of go dark on each other and put the majority of their scrims against different teams. I have to imagine that TSM played a lot of scrims against Curse because they both really went towards that heal teleport Mundo, with Quas and Dyrus both having much success on that. One of the big reasons I think Cloud9 is banned it away, because they haven't been a part of that experience. They realize it now, and they have to use a ban on it because they haven't planned counters.
The first big Lucian comes through. Seems that one's been universal here in the North American playoffs. And just kind of to continue your point, on the other side, we had Cloud9 likely scrimming CLG, and Jax was the big important pick for both those teams, and you saw those getting banned away in the pick. So Lucian going to be the grab here for Sneaky. The champions lost once in the playoffs, but otherwise, pretty strong performance.
TSM's got a very big decision to make here. In their Game 2 victory against CLG, it was just seemingly an endless amount of hooks to bring them back in the game. Thresh could be a very important pick to lock down early on here for TSM.
And I wonder if they steal away Elise as well, because with the Kazakhs ban, Meteos went for Elise both times in that semifinal.
Whoa.
Nope. Lee Sin probably for Dyrus.
He has played Lee Sin to little success. He didn't necessarily have the best time. It's not a Dyrus-style champion. You would expect him to bully on probably Shyvana here. That's what he would have had left with 3 of the main top laners being banned out in this game. But he actually goes for Lee Sin. It's a slight denial from Meteos, who would have a proficiency for that champion. There's always the chance that TheOddOne can play it, even though it's been pretty much Season 2 was the last time I saw OddOne playing Lee Sin. That is a big gambit here by TSM to pick Lee Sin that early.
We'll see if it pays off for them. 15 seconds now in Cloud9. I wonder what they do go for. Mid laners like Lulu still available. Nope, LeBlanc does get grabbed. High's going to play that one again, and there's the Elise from Meteos.
Very similar to what they were playing yesterday against Curse.
Yeah.
Meteos had some nice Elise builds that actually Nintendo X tried to mimic later on in the day. Going cooldown boots on Elise, maxing his Cocoon and Repel second, his E skill. And going for a more late game style Elise, if you can believe it.
Yeah, he was interesting. He brought so much utility there, and the damage was really put off to the other members of his team. High is going to be a big part of that. Picks the LeBlanc blind. We'll see what TSM runs in the mid lane against that. Bjergsen and High likely to have that 1v1 matchup. Very few teams actually will lane swap to mid now. That was big last year in the spring. Dignitas would 2-on-1 mid a lot, but with all the lane swaps we talk about, it's just the top and bottom lane here.
There was also a bunch of Cinder bans against Bjergsen yesterday from COG, yet Cloud9 has not done that. With the Xin Zhao being locked in right now for TSM, that means it's going to be most likely the solo top Dyrus on Lee Sin. There's always an outside chance it could be Bjergsen on that guy to really throw them for a loop.
And we'll see what the rest of the picks come through as. There is still Nidalee available here for Bjergsen, and looking at C9, they're not super heavy engage. I don't know if, I mean, Nidalee LeBlanc's not the easiest matchup to be fair, but in terms of like the times where TSM wait for their mid lane pick, it's often like they don't have engage, we can run this champion, like, and let him carry on this one. I do want to see what actually comes through for Bjergsen, because mid lane jungle already picked means he knows his matchup, but he's waiting to see what the team's actually bringing in. WildTurtle, of course, on Corki. That's going to be fine for him. C9, the last couple of picks, and it's going to be head up Trundle versus Lee Sin top lane, and Morgana support once again for LemonNation.
So the Trundle is something that worked fairly well for Balls yesterday against Curse. It took him until the late game before he could start shredding people down. And the Morgana Lucian lane is something that COG just ran to much success in the 3rd, 4th place match. It's a very strong lane that can potentially lock down Corki. So it's very much on comfort for Cloud9, even if it doesn't seem like the most overpowering team composition. No champion really jumps out at you there for Cloud9.
Yeah, it's going to be standard team fight for these guys. We'll see how many plays High can make, and if these guys can outscale and win their lanes, everything else. 20 seconds. Bjergsen, the man to pick his champion. Unlikely to be AP Corki. Does he go back for this one?
He could. It's the support of mid laner against the LeBlanc. He can still lock down or block a lot of the CC. If he wants to go that style, it's either a Lulu or a Karma. Lulu is unbanned, but the Karma did give him a pentakill.
Did, and might go right back for that one. The time ticks down, and it's gonna be the Karma lock-in. So Karma mid once more for Bjergsen. And you wonder, will he start commanding bans in this champion? Because it was one of the big factors for TSM earlier this week.
And it really did seem yesterday like TSM had not adapted very well to the ever-changing League of Legends game state, but this time, they're going with what worked for him yesterday for the most part. The Xin Zhao with the Karma will be a very strong initiation combination. I really just think a lot of this is going to be decided on Dyrus' ability to play Lee Sin.
Okay.
It's such a tough champion to just pick up and play. You see people like Zhao and Spartan doing it because they've mained it for so much of their careers. Dyrus has not. He's really just trying to learn it recently, and he breaks it out in the finals.
We talked to Cloud9. Yeah, we talked to Yen about it, and he was like, or about his champion pool, and he said, "Yeah, I just played a whole bunch of Jax games. My team felt confident on me. If Dyrus practiced Lee Sin, brought it for the finals, then he can do it."
Yeah, if we're trying to compare a Jax to a Lee Sin, though, as far as how many games it takes to master that champion, Lee Sin is 2 or 3 times as many.
Oh, completely agree. We'll see if it pans out. Now the champs are locked in, so let's see who you voted to win. With 61% of you saying TSM is going to take the series. Now remember, you can also share your predictions continuously by tweeting us at LOL Esports using the hashtag C9win or TSMwin. We'll be checking the vote throughout the games.
That'll be very interesting to track here. TSM, obviously the fan favorite. These are the 2 split champions so far from North America. It's Cloud9 winning the summer in 2013 against TSM 3-0. And TSM obviously won the spring split before Cloud9 was even in the league. This one's going to show who's the first to 2.
Who's the first to 2? It's going to be interesting. It's like best of 3, best of 5s, kind of.
The super extended best of 3.
Takes a year to get through all the games, but you know what? It's worth it overall, guys. Here we are, game 1 of the best of 5. Who is the best in North America? These 10 gentlemen are in the contention.
And another support Karma is going to be so key to see, as well as if we get to see standard lane matchups. When we're previewing this game, we realize the TSM pretty much beats everyone if they get traditional lane matchups, yet if they do the tower trading, they're generally not a spectacular mid-game team. That's actually where Cloud9 thrives. So if we ended up getting the 4-man push in the top and the bottom lane, I think that strongly favors Cloud9. But since it's somewhat predictable where teams are going to be going and where they're going to buddy system, if you have a counterplay for it, now is absolutely the time to bring it out.
30 seconds until
See if TSM does something to try and stop Cloud9 from pulling this off.
Well, right now, C9 very much spreading out. Actually, you can't even tell where everyone's necessarily going, except that Ball's chilling bottom lane. And actually, Sneaky's by the mid, but at 113, you can move anywhere you want. So right now, the line of scrimmage, TSM, though, very much grouped up.
Yeah, they don't necessarily know where anyone is. It's a very defensive formation from Cloud9. They are respecting the Thresh, although both supports have a lot of level 1 catch potential. Cloud9 might be considering a late invade, but they're also pinging that brush, saying it's either warded or there's champions here.
Wow, that was brave.
That was rather foolish, if we're being completely honest. But it does not hurt them here.
All of TSM in that brush, but all of TSM is going to be in the bottom brush. Cloud9. LemonNation Sneaky.
Now he should throw a binding in first if he wants to check
spots
something.
it.
He's actually...
Wow.
He delayed them 5 seconds.
That was incredible because normally if you see no one there, you're like, oh great, we can get a ward down and like invade this buff.
Yes.
And TSM waits for them in that brush.
I really wonder how much of that is how much these teams scrimmed during the regular season and just trying to pick up on level 1 tendencies. LemonNation didn't have knowledge of what he was doing. That was mainly just guesswork, and it ended up giving them about a 5-second edge in the jungle.
And it's going to be panning out as looks like Ball's taken away. A small camp there with Meteos and then teleporting back to the top lane. So Ball's shared XP on the red buff.
Hey, but we got conventional lanes.
Yeah, we do.
That's the biggest thing. This is actually what TSM wants, and now we really get to see the level of Cloud9's laners versus the level of TSM's laners, because this is mostly a straight-up matchup. This is the best that TSM could have hoped for from their level 1.
And TheOddOne going to be grabbing his red buff for this one. Looks like he'll end his jungle route, or the early jungle route, on the top side. We'll see if it actually manipulates the Balls versus Dyrus matchup. Meanwhile, Meteos taking his Wolves will be hitting level 3 around the same time and near the same side of the map. That is a matchup to watch. The mid lane as well, Leblanc versus Karma. Also interesting.
And I think the mid lane is going to be particularly fascinating because Hai and Bjergsen really embody the playstyle of North American mid laners. Hai, more than anyone, even though he doesn't have spectacular farm, goes for more early kills than almost anyone else. He all-ins so many people at level 2, a lot of times just igniting them extremely early. And yesterday we actually saw some level 2 kills in the mid lane. Bjergsen is one of the best people to do that throughout the year. Even if you look at average CS of the mid laners, North America is much lower than European mid laners. They average about 75 in North America. There's a lot of European mid laners that are up in the 80s, but that's because American mid laners aggress much more. They go for way more kills, and farming is not nearly as much of a priority.
All right, now we're going to see how the farming goes in the bottom lane, though, because C9 getting the shove in is kind of the duo lane way of aggression as you push down to the turret and force them to be stuck in the back lines right there. It's a 6-minion lead because of all this work.
I meant CS at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that's not confusing.
Oh, to be fair, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the mark we're going to be looking at. So we're 40% of the way there. See what happens.
Yeah.
6 minutes in the future. We can see if they're actually beating their own average records. It'll be something you guys can watch at home. You can call us out if we get it wrong. I'm likely to.
Yeah, these bindings need to be able to line. LemonNation using a lot of his mana early, but they're just trying to shove in Corki to his turret. Lucian is very strong at shoving, and they're trying to get rid of the minions as well so they can land the dark bindings.
But here's the first move, though. Meteos slinking into the top lane, and Ball's just less hitting. High going to take some damage, doesn't land. The chain roots in towards Bjergsen. They trade blows fairly evenly, and these guys also trading CS pretty close. Bjergsen slight lead.
You should expect Karma to win that lane matchup. I think that's one of the big reasons Bjergsen likes Karma so much, due to the fact that she has access to empowered abilities at level 1, no true ultimate. Karma wins most lane matchups, and Meteos, and Bjergsen is very good at exploiting that.
He's doing that so far. Hook not quite going to land on a sneaky. Both junglers went towards the top side. Meteos now going to get warded out, though. More harass coming down. High going to take still more damage on this one. Bjergsen doing a lot now. 5 minions in the lead. Okay. Bottom lane plus 10, though. Cloud9 down there doing great. Balls and Dyrus holding even, and the little almost skirmish in the top lane between Meteos and TheOddOne did not pan out. So just the tense game right now. People playing around the minion waves and not finding any true champion fights.
Yeah, so Cloud9 is contenting to these laning phase fights, and honestly, if we think of the overall scaling of these teams, Cloud9 is superior to them. TheOddOne on Xin Zhao and Dyrus on Lee Sin do not scale to the likes of Trundle and Elise. Trundle and Elise, of course, with all that % health damage and a well-played late-game Leblanc, can remove one player from the map. So definitely here on Cloud9, if they actually trade the laning phase and don't fall behind to TSM, they should hold a late-game advantage.
Well, right now there's a tiny early-game advantage as well. Cloud9 up just 200 gold from their laning phases. Balls hits level 6 first and pushes Dyrus away. Dyrus actually recalling back right here, does have the teleport, but Balls will have a bit more money when he resets the lane.
It's interesting here. Teleporting back, of course, that means there's no teleport up for an early dragon fight if that's what Cloud9 wants to do. Meteos getting some deep wards in to stop the approach, but he's just a level 4 Elise. The dragon is not a realistic proposition for Cloud9 as of yet. Still sitting on that slight laning edge is Cloud9.
And Dyrus is doing the standard top lane Lee Sin build after the recall. He is going for Tiamat first, who's going to be very offensive early on. That's no surprise with this kind of champion, but it means that there's not really a tank line for TSM. It's a lot on Bjergsen and Xpecial to provide durability to anyone who gets into the front there. Balls goes Cutlass as well. Hook actually not going to get spell shielded in time.
Yep. Desync on the coordination there in the bottom lane, though WildTurtle had just Valkyried away as Xpecial added the hook. So there was no potential follow-up. That lane was getting pretty heavily harassed by Sneaky's Lucian.
Here we go, another trade in the top lane. Actually, ulti's available, used by Balls, immediately kicked back by Dyrus. He does not want this fight, but the pillar comes down, jumps to a minion. Dyrus will stay safe, but loses a good chunk of health for that one.
You can see Dyrus is actually going a fairly defensive skill order on Lee Sin. He's maxing his W. Bigger shield, more lifesteal and spell vamp to sustain through Trundle. That is generally going to make that into a farm lane, which will benefit Cloud9 in the long run. Balls, of course, is the all-league top laner as voted on by a panel of experts and the teams themselves. And he's showing why right here.
A good chunk of damage down. Q's going to land. Dyrus does go in. This one takes another shield, and you can see he actually is able to pretty much nullify the damage of Chomp with the safeguard, but it's on Balls to sustain up. He's got a Cutlass and his passive, so Dyrus must auto-attack and lifesteal back to get his health in decent shape for this one. Meteos, though, will kill the ward, but that's going to give enough time for TheOddOne to grab his red buff.
Yeah, I'd say that's just good play here by both of them, unless Meteos can get something crazy going here. Meteos knew he had a safe invade at that moment because Karma had just went back, yet it was still a good pink ward because TSM was expecting some jungle shenanigans coming out of Meteos. They trade the pink ward for the safety of TheOddOne.
Now going to be the blue buff going over. A pretty late blue buff, all things considered, but High, starting with a needlessly large rod, is going to grab that, get back to his lane. Bjergsen going for the more standard Athene's build.
And this is actually a good call by High. High actually has very good game understanding as far as the mid lane is concerned. Not many people would immediately know what to build against a Karma. Unlike many mid laners, Karma doesn't have an absurd amount of burst damage early on. She's more likely to wear you down. So High is actually going a no defensive build because he wants to be able to cut through the defenses of Bjergsen if they get a potential gank. As long as he can dodge the harass, the needlessly large rod is going to benefit him as far as kill potential is concerned.
An interesting thing, High seems to have this planned out pretty well. He's actually running magic resist glyphs, knowing that he won't have any in his early build, and that'll help him keep up throughout the game when Sorchis eventually come through for Bjergsen. Burst comes through, good damage, but the chain's going to land as well. High not in the best spot. Look at the damage, but High says, you know, my cooldowns are better, stays around, and he'll clear the wave.
Not the best of trades there by High. Walking into the face of Bjergsen and just taking a Q.
He does have Flask, and I'm wondering if the second trade goes any better, because that trade didn't cost High any money, and if that is somehow like the game that he can play.
True.
where he can like run out of potions and win that way. One charge still on high. He's not afraid of getting all in. Exhaust versus Ignite in the mid lane. So Bjergsen continuing that sort of defensive setup there. Saying I'll exhaust when someone goes in. Someone like a Leblanc. High still wants to one-shot somebody.
It's an interesting thing that's happening over in the top lane. Dyrus has actually moved to counter jungling while Balls is freezing. I feel like Balls thought he had a little bit of lane supremacy, but Dyrus snuck past him or something for that nice counter jungle. He's taking the white away. Interesting top lane matchup. Cloud9 still with the slight edge, but this game is holding really steady. I feel like this is going to be one of these old school games where the dragon fight has an incredible sway on the outcome.
Nearly some damage, LemonNation. Starting out with a Sight Stone as the usual. TheOddOne actually going to start this one out right now, and there's not a ton of ward coverage. No, that is a Cloud9 ward, so C9 knows about this, but TSM are there first.
Got to be a little careful not to get collapsed on. Lucian is a little bit out of position here, and a great Q by Bjergsen to keep Meteos away.
Yeah, down below, half HP. The root might land as well. Forced to flash. High also has to. TSM with the dragon puts them back in the gold lead.
Level 9 is actually one of Karma's strongest points in the game because she has maxed her Inner Flame, that Q, and she can empower it, blowing people up on the approach to that dragon and just making it a bad decision for Cloud9 to contest.
They just don't even get to here, so TSM kind of account for all those minion kills that were coming through in the top lane for Balls and the bottom lane for Sneaky. Bjergsen is winning his matchup. This was our featured matchup. We talked about the fact that High wanted to play for the team. Do what the team needs, make it happen there. 11 minutes in, only 76 minions. Yeah. Bjergsen having 96, so High, you know, not having the best laning phase. That's what Bjergsen's so good at. But now we have to see how it transitions with the rest of the game.
And we talked about this with Bjergsen's Karma game yesterday. It is outside of his style, but it doesn't mean he can't play it well. Typically, Bjergsen will be on the Assassin champions where he will individually go make plays, get kills, end the game at 10-0. But with Karma, it's a much more team fight oriented supportive process where he still does damage, but it's over longer periods of time and it's in big team fights where they have to work together. It worked for TSM in Game 2 yesterday against CLG, and it's working a little bit here. His Karma play has been very impressive, but here's the row.
Here's High looking for this one. Can they get the damage? Xpecial WildTurtle force back. There's the chain flash force for that. It's going to lose a minion wave in the mid lane for High, though, as Bjergsen's pushing down.
Double heal by both of these bottom lanes as well, which means the kill potential from both of them is a little bit diminished. It would require a very powerful dive in order to take someone down with the turret dive. They try to catch Bjergsen, they get him with the buy!
Completely through the boards. The burst comes through. He's got nowhere to go. Exhaust LemonNation. That's not who he wanted. And High picks up first blood.
Big comeback kill because they can potentially get the blue buff here as well. 4 members of Cloud9 are moving towards us. Lemon is low. OddOne goes in.
He gets binded though. High, can he go in for the burst as well? Blue buff losing health. OddOne goes down. Sneaky finds the kill. WildTurtle went a little too crazy on that one. Meteos should secure this blue buff away. What a good start for Cloud9.
Knowing when to go in and when to go back is some of the marks of the great teams right there. And Cloud9 stayed in despite being low health. A lot of it had to do with LemonNation's pinpoint precision on those dark bindings. He catched one on Bjergsen, got another onto OddOne, and that's the reason they picked up 2 kills.
And meanwhile, this top lane is just going well for Balls. He's up 26 minions right there. Not getting a ton of turret pressure, but the thing is, he is holding Dyrus down. And we talked about the fact that Trundle would outscale in this overall game sense as well. So this is something going quite nicely in Cloud9's favor. We have to see if TSM can do something to pull themselves back in this game, because C9 are making the better moves right now.
And this is typically in a Cloud9 game when you would see Meteos come up in the top lane and capitalize on Balls' small advantage. However, against TSM, I think Cloud9's playstyle changes a little bit, and Meteos then focuses on trying to catch Bjergsen. That was the result of that rotation down in the bottom lane when they were going for that gank. They caught Bjergsen trying to support, and they got that kill, as opposed to helping out Balls with the secure.
And the OddOne, though, going a little bit for the blue buff. Meteos finding him one more time. The flash over onto High. Are they going to turn the pressure? Yes, they do. OddOne goes down, making that 3 for 0. Great pillar forces the flash from Bjergsen. He's going to get out, but the blue buff will go to C9 quite easily.
Control is being lost right here. Yesterday in the games against CLG, OddOne put a huge importance on stealing the blue buffs. That has always been his play style throughout his career in League of Legends. Cloud9 punishes him there, knowing that would be his next move. Cloud9 got the blue steal away. That was the first kill onto OddOne. They knew he was going to go and try and get one back, and they catch him once again.
Exceptionally well played. 3-0 on kills. Both blue buffs now have gone Cloud9's way. The red buff has respawned on TSM's side of the map. We'll see if that one gets secured successfully. Dragon up in 2 minutes is going to give these teams time to collect themselves and prepare for the next engagement. High added Sort Shoes and a Doran's Ring since his last couple of kills here, so getting Pen to increase the burst. We'll see if he can be even more deadly as these fights continue on. Athene's now done for Bjergsen. See what his presence in team fights will be.
Yeah, as long as he's not getting caught outside of the typical team fights, he will be okay. No flash for Bjergsen is going to hurt as they approach that next dragon. But as far as zone control goes, because of the Corki missiles and the Inner Flame Qs from Karma, they do hold more control around the dragon area, as long as they don't let this game go to the hand.
Well, TSM are only down 1,700. Looks like the game right now not out of hand for these guys. Certainly the possibility for TSM to set up for a more group-based fight and do okay with this one. Last time when we were around the dragon area, actually, hold on, nice little bit of harass. The silence helping him win the trade. Ball's going in pretty hard for Dyrus right here. The ultis not pop for either one. They both save the cooldowns again for the trade, and Dyrus kicks him back.
Still has his ultimate if he needs it. One thing, though, that TSM can hope to exploit is that Dyrus has his teleport, whereas Balls does not. And that will still be true when the dragon respawns.
34 seconds till that happens. High has a blue buff, Bjergsen does not. TSM mid lane are going to have to be very careful about his mana consumption. Single Doran's Ring and Athene's going to help that, though, considerably. High right now playing passive, not wasting any of his health bars. Might just be considering when that dragon comes up. The harass still attempted by C9. A small minion lead there. Balls does pop the ulti. He's putting some damage on a Dyrus, but looks like it's not going to be enough to push him away.
Yeah, it actually feels like Balls is going to have to give up a little bit of control of the lane. The fact that Trundle is out of mana and there is a complete Ravenous Hydra on a Dyrus, he should be able to lifesteal up and get Balls out of this lane. So Dyrus taking a little bit of an edge here.
Level 12. Actually, it's a level lead for Dyrus in the matchup. He's pushing him down. 15 minions separate those two top laners. Ball's pretty close on pace for 10 a minute. Another burst goes in towards Bjergsen. Actually breaks the chain. High puts the damage back down. Looks like this matchup is going quite nicely, but the blue buffs have timed out.
Those guys are just going toe-to-toe in the mid lane. High is displaying so much aggression. It would be exploitable by ganks if Meteos didn't have so much jungle presence onto TheOddOne. Look at how frequently he's using that aggressively.
The flash, the ignite, the chain, and the kill from High.
Big plays from High, taking out the MVP of the North American LCS 1v1. And that will enable Cloud9 to go to this dragon as well.
And there's not even going to be anyone from TSM contesting it, so Team SoloMid only hold one objective on the map, and that was dragon number 1. But Cloud9 fire back with 4 kills, buff control, and dragon number 2 right here in the first game of the North American Finals. It's quite nicely played.
Absolutely. Cloud9 has a lot of control here on the map. This is a nice counter move by OddOne, though, to go right into the mid lane since he knew how it would be going back. And he broke his habit of trying to protect his own blue buff. Gets an objective in the process.
So mid lane turret, first stone for TSM. LemonNation, sneaky. Still gonna force back WildTurtle. That binding hits. This could be some major damage. Ulti is popped. WildTurtle has to flash and Valkyrie away, but that's some summoners down now. Heal as well.
Yeah, didn't expect that binding to land. That's actually why Sneaky was so far back when it did. Still burns a heal and the flash from WildTurtle, which will be exploitable by the rest of Cloud9 as he's still trying to defend this turret. There's Meteos.
Great lantern from Xpecial, but there comes the piercing light. Sneaky finds one cocoon. Not doing quite enough yet to lock down Xpecial, but that is rank 3 cocoon. It's a 1.5 second stun.
Top turret did go down in the process while Meteos was down here bottom lane, but the push will continue. They're trying to deny a lot of minions. High gets caught out though.
Big damage from Bjergsen. Passive popped once more. Looks like the TSM mid laner winning that matchup finally, at least in that trade. But Cloud9, after taking the bottom turret down, are going to recall. So TSM only down 2,500. It seems that even though C9 have won every single champion fight, the red team is able to find something to do for themselves, get some advantages back. The mid laner winning in CS, the top lane turret going down. The game is still close.
Yeah, the one turret edge for TSM is keeping them at least a little close in the gold, but it is disheartening to be shut out in kills 20 minutes into the game for TSM, who for so much of this regular season was sitting as the best team in North America. But they're up against Cloud9, the team that has never lost in the North American playoffs and is on a 15-game winning streak.
We're looking right now to make that 16 because they're in good shape for this game. Got to point out the OddOne already does have his Feral Flare. transformed already. Xin Zhao, a slightly slower jungler than someone like Nocturne, but has that combined and the transformation pretty early. So, you know, he did try to control the dragon earlier. He was trying to control buffs earlier. He's going for those single target sort of emphases.
This is really interesting, though. If we look at the wards on the map, Cloud9 has very little ward coverage outside of their own jungle. TSM has actually managed to take down 3 outer turrets, which should translate to a lot of map control. Cloud9 has been losing the pressure game here, which could pay out pretty big for TSM later.
See if they can find it. I mean, Meteos is still taking his own buffs for now, but you're right, the outer ring just now has fallen. I want to see where the ward coverage comes in. Right there, you just saw Sneaky walking by one. Dyrus actually getting a bit of a flank down onto Balls. He doesn't have any vision. The slows could be a lot for this one, but the trade, Balls really not showing fear. He's going to hold on to that matchup, but I do want to see TSM are slowly losing gold. What can they find for themselves?
They're going to want to find more pressure, basically. They need to make sure they're shoving their lanes out. Look how little damage the Bjergsen's turret has actually taken, even if he's 0-2 against a 3-0 high. What Cloud9 wants to do is get rid of TSM's ward control so that Deathfire Grasp on High's LeBlanc can find kills and then they can take objectives. Because unless they're killing someone on TSM thanks to the great wave clear, they're not going to be getting much of this turret pressure back.
Yeah, so TheOddOne's actually going to make sure that he keeps the vision control for himself, though, right? Like, TSM are playing the vision game quite nicely. The sweeper there. OddOne lost pink ward, immediately put a ward back down. New Hide put one in there, and he's sweeping. So, Cloud9, you're right. Their wards are largely only defensive. Sneaky does have a way in towards the bottom lane here. He will pull a small rotation, but Cloud9 are also ready to respond to this one. Trigger ward keeps him safe. There's the Morgana. Another ward there as well, and now looks like blue buff. Ooh! Taken nicely.
And a bunch of damage down onto WildTurtle as well. That's going to be Cloud9's bottom lane trying to take a bit of an advantage down there. It's going to be tough for TSM to make it back to this turret since Turtle is so low. Here comes TheOddOne, though. It's tough for a melee champion like Xin Zhao to defend this.
Yeah, Sneaky has so much damage, though. He's got 2 kills. He's got the Sheen and the Bloodthirster. Takes it down. 22 minutes in, tier 2 turret bottom lane goes in. And Sneaky LemonNation are really one of the shining points right now of Cloud9.
Yeah, they did first pick that Lucian, and they're trying to take best advantage of his turret killing abilities. 230 CS here, less than 23 minutes into the game, farming up a Storm. While that turret does give Cloud9 more gold, it doesn't actually do much for their overall map control because there's still outer turrets in the top and mid lane that are yet to be cleared. Here's their chance at the mid one, though. If they get that, they're winning by a lot. Here it goes.
And here it goes, 36.5 to 32.6. That's going to fall over, making it 37,000 gold. Cloud9, when they show up to something, TSM do not seem able to react. So Cloud9, if they can throw their weight around continuously, they'll keep getting these advantages, it seems.
That's a perfect way of describing it, is just Cloud9 throwing their weight around. It's one of the big things they do when they have leads in games and why they are on such a huge win streak and have consistently been the best team in North America since they joined the LCS. They just know how to capitalize on leads.
And speaking of capitalizing on leads, Trinity Force now done from Sneaky. The extra turrets, the dragon, the kills he has, he is a completed item ahead of WildTurtle right now. His effect in teamfights will be massive. Cloud9 already took most of the outer ring down, but with Dragon up in 20 seconds, their AD carry is stronger. Their mid laners actually, I think, are fairly comparable, but the other point to bring out is Meteos already finished his Locket of Arnslari, 7,100 gold on him.
Teleport actually comes in behind Sneaky here, and it just gets matched by Balls so that Sneaky is safe.
Yeah, but it puts C9 on the right side of
He
the
actually
map.
canceled it. He didn't come all the way in. It was just a matter of Dyrus going out. That means that it could be a 5v4 for this Dragon if TSM goes quickly.
You're right, yeah, Ball's on the wrong side of the map, so TSM, they're going to go in with 5. They know there's no Trundle here. Cloud9, will they contest 4v5?
The waves aren't necessarily in a place where Cloud9 can easily push. They should just be pushing mid right now, but they're looking like they want to contest.
There's the no steal on the Dragon. 2-1 Dragons now TSM. They get out cleanly. The teleports do pay off, and nothing falls down.
As long as Cloud9 blocks TSM's path to the top lane, however, they should still be able to get a turret out of this. And all things considered, that means 3 outer turrets are down for Cloud9 as well, which is overall a good trade for them.
So here we go. Balls is still there with the push. The rest of the team is around, but TSM say no. They go down the mid lane right here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a chess match. They knew that their path was blocked, but they also knew they could then block Cloud9's path back to mid, since they know there's no teleport on Balls, and this is another 4v5.
But they're going to get flanked a little bit. This could be scary. Will there be a pick in? Cocoon lands onto Dyrus. A bit of poke comes by as well. Forced to run back. Dyrus safeguards away. Mid lane tier 2 goes down for top lane tier 1. Gold lead on that one for TSM. TSM gets away cleanly
Brilliant tactical play there by TSM, barely outplaying Cloud9 with their map movements, but the chess match is going to continue. Cloud9 now trying to cut TSM off towards the top turret.
Binding won't quite land. Tormented Soil actually pulling away some of the rotations as well. C9 ready to hit both tier 2 turrets here.
And remember, Cloud9 is holding them off 4v5 here, so if TSM could find a clean initiation, they would go for it. They're just getting pushed back.
Around the Frost Queen's claim, slow them down. Balls the whole time was pushing top. C9 actually the victors on this extended trade, going up a turret.
And this means the map as a whole is much more open right now. And because of all the roaming around, the vision will drop fairly soon. There's a lot of wards down right now, but they haven't been placing them actively. If TSM gets trapped in their base here, they're going to lose ward control.
And the whole time C9's put some wards on. You see the one Balls is walking by right here. The one he just walked by from TSM, freshly placed. That was a recent acquisition there from TheOddOne. So Cloud9 have taken the entire tier 2 ring of turrets over the last couple of minutes there and got deep ward coverage. C9 suddenly on the map.
Yep. Wards down for TSM. Turrets down for TSM. And they are still yet to get a kill. This Lee Sin pick from Dyrus is quickly reaching late game, and he has yet to make an impact. And straight up fights with Balls, he is no match for that Trundle at this moment. So TSM actually in a bit of a desperation mode right here, trying to take advantage of the strength of Karma at this moment and group up Cloud9 without getting caught by a DFG LeBlanc. It is a very tall task for TSM here.
Well, there's a big TSM wave pushing down on the bottom. Oh, Hartman gets caught out. Lantern's on the wrong side of the wall. He goes down. That's a kill for Cloud9, 5v4 on the map.
One Dark Binding, one DFG, and a dead tank on TheOddOne's side. He did not have enough magic resistance, and now Cloud9 can power play up the mid lane, again cutting off TSM from the defense.
You're seeing the poke come out from Corki, but it's not going to be nearly enough. The minion wave coming in right about now, but it's enough for TSM to make the rotation. The wave clear for Bjergsen. Missed the first Q, but C9 not wanting to go in. They separate WildTurtle though. Lantern on the other side of the wall. He just goes down. He gets exploded by High thanks to the flash, and now here comes the dive. 5 versus 3, kick back onto Balls. C9 still go for this one turret. Starting to take damage. Sneaky Pulse aggro though has to back off. TSM will probably hold this push it looks like, but no, the turret taking more damage. Good dash by Sneaky keeps him safe, but C9 must back out.
They still get a decent chunk of turret damage. If they go back, they'll be able to finish that one off, but it will regen if they don't make it. The lead grows, the kills grow, and Cloud9 comes away with another advantage.
5,500 gold, the lead for these guys. High.
Gotta be careful.
Gotta be. Binding misses, Dyrus. Yep, there's the dash. TSM own the wards on Baron, though, to be fair.
They see Balls bottom lane. They should have a general count on his teleport to think that is up. This is contestable by Cloud9. Balls is a little low on mana, and the rest of Cloud9 is going to come in. This is a bit of a desperation play by TSM. High, making sure his presence is felt just to scare TSM off while the rest of Cloud9 approaches.
That was really well played. Lucian's going to push the mid lane down, and Baron is going to regenerate back up. Ward coverage comes out. TSM do not want the counter Baron to come through, but TSM are healthy if they have to. Poke comes in. Does not aggro Baron.
This is actually going to be another one of these push-pulls. Sneaky runs up the mid lane while Balls tries to distract the rest of TSM. They might just go and try and damage this turret. A minion arrives, meaning the turret can go down.
And 3 members of TSM are going to go back down to defend the mid lane, but it's going to be too late. Mid lane inhibitor turret falls. Cloud9 up about 8,000 gold. The chase. OddOne forced to ulti away, but he's cut off. Morgana and Lucian on the other side. High misses the chain. He's got to be a bit careful. Passive is popped. OddOne gets the right target. Red buff. No, High levels up. No, maybe even dangerous game. Dangerous game saved him.
So close to falling down there, and it just seems like Cloud9 is a step ahead of what TSM is doing. Every time TSM makes a nice play, Cloud9 makes a great play, and they're continually punishing TSM.
Wow, so SoloMid just can't quite find their way in. So they got an 8,000 gold lead, and they get to gigantic wave in the bottom lane cleaned up here by Sneaky. Everything going so very well for the Cloud9 squad. All these strategic rotations have worked out as like +1 turret, +1 kill, +2 turrets even. TSM have yet to outplay the map against Cloud9.
Yeah. The early game actually went kind of how TSM wanted it to as well. They got standard lanes, something that they generally haven't been defeated when they get those standard lanes, but Cloud9 just kind of manned up and did it. This won't leave too many options for TSM as we move into the rest of the series, because kind of their best play was these lanes. I think the picks out of this one aren't as comfortable as TSM would like. They're going to get some of those back in the next game. assuming this game continues to go the way Cloud9 does. And hopefully they can do a little bit better on the blue side, because this game has just been rough for TSM.
Almost a 20% gold lead. Cloud9 making the right choice every step of the way. TSM still try to own some wards. The Dark Binding picks have worked largely well for C9. I gotta say, that pickup, LemonNation playing so much of it.
Also, I want to point out the Alacrity boots onto Morgana. So much of Morg is just moving towards people and scaring them away from Dark Binding and shooting it when they're out of options. He mind games a lot of people if he's faster than them, because he'll get closer and closer, making the binding easier and easier to land.
Well, High finds some poke on a WildTurtle, taking about half his health off with DFGQ. And now the mid inhibitor is open. TSM trying to make the move back there. Dyrus is going to recall. The team will stay and take the inhib down. How good is a disengage? Team split up a little bit, but Cloud9 get away cleanly.
Dyrus trying desperately to make a play in the bottom lane. He willed the Manda response down here, or at least some action by Cloud9. It doesn't seem like Cloud9 is too phased by this, though. Either they got to go for Baron or they got to go down to the bottom lane.
Well, Dyrus about to take this turret down. That will be the 5th turret for TSM, but Cloud9 has started up. No, they haven't started on Baron, but Ball's coming down, maybe to stop that. No rush, though. The split push for Dyrus does get a tier 2 turret. Cloud9 not panicked. They let it go down. No teleport was up for Balls.
Oftentimes you see panic out of a team like that, and that's actually what TSM wanted to instill in Cloud9. But they very calmly take a moderate loss to maintain their big edge in this game.
8,500 gold, the number. Every time, it's going up every time I look at it. High looking for the chain, finds on Bjergsen, but hooked in nearly on the box. There's the play as well. Xpecial flashes the wall. Bjergsen slowed down by the Morgana active. To be Meteos now finding a bit of an engage.
Sneaky gets kicked.
And WildTurtle are there. Sneaky on the wrong side of this fight. Kill picked up. Well played there. Xpecial does get away from that one. TSM, they find a 1 for 0, and they're on the chase.
And it's the disengage and teamfight power of the Karma there that gives them their first kill. A nice step forward for them, showing they can make a play. Dyrus with a big move there to get Sneaky way out of position. Oh dear.
The engage, the chains, the ignite, not quite enough. Looks like Bjergsen will live. That was rather close. Xpecial also dangerously low.
Yeah, a lot of shield power across the board there. They managed to burn the McHales. That's one of the big reasons Bjergsen didn't die there. Very good play by Xpecial to give him the heal, actually. But let's take another look at this play. Sneaky looking to go a little bit forward, but behind them, Dyrus is making a big move, and Sneaky goes way over the wall. Then he actually flashes away, but Dyrus is already on the way to him. Sneaky's slick escape turns into a slick death over the wall. Nice play by TSM.
And a clutch summoner heal by Xpecial kept him alive when we saw High at the end of that clip trying to chase him down.
Yeah.
So TSM back off. They did find a way to get a kill for themselves. They're down back to under 8K, the gold deficit. So we did see them with clutch hooks sneak back into a game against CLG yesterday. That's the kind of story that TSM's going to want right here. They defended a pink ward, and they found the random pick. Dyrus jumps the wall to get away from High, but mid lane has a dead inhibitor. C9 ride that down the mid lane, and they go towards Baron.
Yeah, and TSM wouldn't have been a top team for so long if they didn't know how to stall games and draw them out. It's what they're trying to do with Cloud9 here, hoping to find an opportunity, but Xpecial gets trapped.
Twin Shadows and a trophy, nowhere for the TSM support to go. Harass not going to matter much to C9 as well. Great play on this one, 9-1. 5-4 on the map, and they're going down the mid lane. Bjergsen tries to find some slows. Balls will look for another trophy, finds WildTurtle and TheOddOne with that one. Ruin King used as well. Corki is slowed. Now so is Zhao. The jump in High, looks for the burst, misses the chain, has to jump back. That's passive pop. Cocoon not quite going to land. But C9 shoved the mid lane in very far.
Honestly, though, that's not the end of the world for TSM. Nobody died. They did have to burn a flash on the TheOddOne, so if that scenario were to play out again, Cloud9 would then be able to finish. It was really just the return fire onto High that managed to pull them back here. Cloud9 is still going to continue to try and starve Baron vision in this game and get TSM to check the wrong brush at the wrong time. That's how they want to find their edge. If they catch anyone but Xpecial there, I feel like Cloud9 might even be able to push through for a victory. That is a nice pillar.
Well, Ball's going to start this one off. He is the tank in the front line, has not yet popped his ulti, but does get forced back a bit. WildTurtle dropped dangerously low. Dyrus on the run. TheOddOne, though, goes in for the fight anyway. Ball's knocked up. The fight's still continuing. No one has yet died. OddOne stunned up, though. That's a kill picked up by Sneaky. And they're still going. Bjergsen, the cocoon, lands the trophy. Oh, not going to beat up. It's the lantern that keeps him safe. Dark Binding hits Xpecial. Big slow comes out, but the burst comes back through. It's going to keep the team safe, and another kill picked up by Cloud9's AD carry. The dive in high. Doesn't quite land the chain, but he does have a team to back him up.
It's still 2 kills on targets of TSM. They get the inhibitor down. They can just back away. Cloud9 using their gold lead there. You could really see how TSM's team composition is actually quite good at sustaining team fights. Cloud9 caught them out there with a huge kill lead and gold lead, and it still took them some time, but they showed their advantage, they pushed them back, and now they can start forcing Baron.
So Dyrus waiting in the wings, the OddOne very far away from this one. No good way to get in quickly. And Baron down to 2/3 health right now. Cloud9 staying in the pit, but TSM want to contest. Dyrus finds a Q. So damage to Sneaky. He's going to stop the Baron attempt. Cocoon's going to miss, but Dyrus will go down. 1-for-0. LemonNation nearly falls. 1 hit from dead. Baron won't claim his life, but now Bjergsen is getting chased out. Another Cocoon does land, though. Meteos on a rampage. 4-0-7.
Yeah, the tank Elise coming in pretty strong. He's actually going Randuin's next. Void Staff would probably be his last item since he does so much of that percent health damage. But quite honestly, there's not too much percent health that he needs to cut through on TSM. He just needs to be what he is right now. Cloud9 has been so good at controlling this game overall. 13 kills to 1 is a rather large statement, and just playing it safe every time they can.
Looks like just enough lifesteal, though, keeps WildTurtle alive. I think he goes positive by attacking trades, using auto-attack trades against high right there, and he does get out.
Yeah.
90 health on him. Gonna have to recall, of course.
And there's still a dead Bjergsen and Dyrus, which is incredibly critical for this Cloud9 team. They're going to start on this one knowing there's no wards inside, and then look to peel off or jump over the wall if the TheOddOne looks to steal. As soon as they saw that teleport, they said, all right, that's too big of a risk. That was just a Baron check more than an attempt.
But it is a 5-minute cooldown now gone from Dyrus on that. So also 500 gold spent on the home guard boots. That won't pay off too much for him. Though similar thing did come through for C9. They've got 3 home guards themselves, interestingly enough. Dragon, though, being started up. The team is there. High actually going to be holding a split push on the side of the map. Cloud9 can take this with just 4. They've got the ward coverage to not get stabbed as they go. 3 of 5 dragons. Baron hasn't died just yet. C9 have disengaged those fights very well and picked up kills for them largely. They've either gotten a cooldown out or they've picked up champion kills every time they start Baron.
And they're absolutely just looking for catches around the area. You can see from LemonNation, he has a 6.6 second cooldown on his Dark Binding actually because he's hit 70 or 40% cooldown reduction with his item build there. Obviously, you have the low cooldown cocoons from Meteos as well because he has maxed his E2, and there's another one of those catches.
OddOne gonna have to try to take the lantern, but he doesn't get one in time. High knocked around, gets Xpecial into the Baron pit. Xpecial is gonna be trying to fight that one. Dyrus will go down and joining the OddOne as a dead member of TSM. Xpecial now locked up. Baron helping the team. Triple kill for Sneaky. Now Bjergsen getting locked up, gets a root back down. WildTurtle getting chased away as well, goes back in to look for Sneaky. Sneaky with the outplay, and the team stays alive. Meteos unstoppable. Ball's gonna get locked up though. Bjergsen is alone from TSM. The trophy, that's in the eyes for Cloud9. They want number 1. They're gonna be taking game number 1. High will get a save from LemonNation. He will not go sour. It will be game 1 in 38.5 minutes, but Cloud9 are looking like the best team in North America right now.
18 kills to 1 in this one. A dominating performance there by Cloud9. More turrets. They played TSM's laning game at the start and just beat them up and down the map. Every time TSM made a play, which worked against every other team in the North American LCS, Cloud9 shut it down.
Yeah, they did. Cloud9 made every trade properly. TSM made a play, C9 found something else to do. 1v1 lanes, 2v2 lanes, no big deal. The lanes overall went well. C9 even had a gold lead just from CS, and then managed to outplay the map on top of that one. That was the team. That's number 1 in the standing. That's the team with a 16-game winning streak right now that looks like Cloud9.
And it was really cool down the stretch, having a 6-second cooldown Dark Binding, a 6-second cooldown Cocoon on Elise, and just destroying TSM one by one. They weren't really those monumental, clashy 5-man team fights, because that's what they wanted to avoid against the team fight prowess of Bjergsen's Karma.
Yeah.
And they did that. They executed their strategy. They almost tricked TSM into playing the laning phase so they could catch them while they're moving in between lanes. Really nice move. going all the way back maybe even to that very first catch they got on Bjergsen in the river, they never let them recover from that, Freak.
Yep, every single time. Great coverage by C9. Amazing plays overall throughout the map. Now don't forget to share your favorite moments from today by tweeting at LOL Esports and using the hashtag LCS Big Plays. But, you know, a couple of those that game, right? A lot of good catches.
There is a few big plays, and we have a whole series yet to go.
We do. At least 2 more games, maybe up to 4. We're going to pass it over to the guys at the analyst desk for an in-depth look at that win.
Thank you very much, Freak. A commanding victory by Cloud9 to start off the series. No lane shenanigans, no 4v1, 4v0 tower swaps, straight up lanes. And we talked about how TSM were ideally looking for that sort of scenario coming into this game. Didn't look like it helped, didn't look like it mattered.
Yeah, it looked like what TSM, their ideal situation to win, but every single lane just looked like they got outclassed. The best lane was pretty much Dyrus versus Balls. That was the closest, and they didn't really have that large impact on the game. Hyde just killed Bjergsen all around the map. He rotated better, and even in the bot lane, Sneaky Castro and LemonNation, they just looked like they outclassed TSM's bot lane.
Yeah, the top lane only going even, not even going in Dyrus' favor on that Lee Sin. Champion you don't really associate with Dyrus, but he seemed to perform pretty well. TSM gave up some early kills, lost a blue buff, were pushed around the map a little bit, and it felt like they were making some desperation plays. What do you think, Kobe?
Yeah, I definitely want to highlight that mid lane that you pointed out, because Bjergsen, he made some roams where he got caught by the rest of the team, and then he also died 1v1 too high. Both of those resulted in not just that lane going in Cloud9's favor, but also in the jungle going in their favor. Each time Bjergsen makes one of those mistakes, Meteos gets something ahead. The first time, he gets the blue buff steal on TheOddOne. And this is why I always say the junglers that plan well, play well, because Meteos, after they kill TheOddOne and steal his blue buff, Meteos goes back, farms his red buff. As soon as he sees the death timer from TheOddOne come up, he starts timing in his head, how long will it take for TheOddOne to come to my blue? And he gets there 5 seconds before TheOddOne does. He's just standing in the bush waiting for TheOddOne to come try and answer and counter his blue in return, and they kill him again while he's trying to make up for the ground that they've already lost.
Talking about TheOddOne, picked up the Feral Flare jungler was in Zhao, got himself some stacks. Not the fastest, not the slowest that we've seen that upgrade. Saint, you were talking a little bit about OddOne's maybe adjustment from yesterday to today. What was your take on OddOne outside of some decision making, his individual play style? Because he struggled that game. 0-6-1 by the end of it.
Yeah, it just looked like TSM and OddOne and Bjergsen specifically, they were playing catch-up the whole time. C9 would make the initial play, like that roam on bottom where they ended up catching Bjergsen. And yeah, C9 made the original play. Bjergsen's like, okay, I'm going to roam and try to counter that. And they just caught him out. And the same thing happened when they took the blue, what Kobe was just talking about. C9 made the original play where they took the blue. OddOne tried to reciprocate, and they just punished him for it. And that was pretty much the entire game, is just punishing them for being behind.
OddOne did get that dragon that you talked about. You're like, as soon as you get your wriggles, then you go instant dragon, and he went for it.
Yeah, he actually did do that. He used the farming ability and the objective control for the Feral Flare pretty good. I was like, oh my god, this is so much different than yesterday.
So he got the first one, but then Hyde died 1 versus 1 for Bjergsen, and that cost them the second dragon. So, like, TSM, even though they had the timer for the dragon to come up for the second one, because Bjergsen dies 1v1 to High, they don't get to capitalize. They don't get the second one.
That's something that doesn't happen all too often either.
Actually,
1v1ing Bjergsen.
I actually wanted to talk about that dragon a lot. That should have been TSM's dragon because the top lane, Trundle didn't have his TP, and Dyrus was pressuring really, really hard, and he has his TP. So that should have just been a clean dragon for them, and because Bjergsen got just
outplayed,
murdered middle, they just lost dragon because of that.
So we do have a replay. It's one of these slightly more obscure replays. Let's pull this up onto your screen. Basically, at this point in the game, Team SoloMid are way behind. Let's roll this clip out. A few moments ago, WildTurtle had been blown up and had been dropped in the background. TSM had tried to start off this Baron and had actually been pushed away from it. It was a desperate call, and Cloud9 positioned well.
Yeah, this is just really Cloud9 just playing, gaining little advantages here and there. And the whole point of this is just to keep TSM occupied. Well, meanwhile, oh, it just cut off, but Sneaky Castro was pushing up in the middle of the lane on that clip, so... yeah, it just looked like the entire game with Cloud9 just getting small advantage, and they don't want to fight.
They got the inhibitor turret off that. Because of the dancing, the inhibitor turret was pushed all the way up.
And they don't take unnecessary damage from Baron. The times where they start Baron, they tank it just long enough to bait TSM over. As soon as they see TSM in a compromising position, they turn around, everybody leaves Baron, they're all on the same page, they focus down one target, and they get the kills. They don't really tunnel on Baron, which is a problem that a lot of LCS teams do have.
I want to highlight something about the complete control that Cloud9 had. When you look at all of the games that we've seen from both of these teams this weekend, you have the feeling that Cloud9 are completely adapted to this style of play, this objective-focused gameplay, and they never once felt threatened by Team SoloMid, by their movements, by any play that TSM made. Cloud9 had an answer or were doing something in preparation for TSM.
Yeah, it just looked like Cloud9 was one step ahead of the game, and they never really forced any big fights. There wasn't any huge team fights that game. Not like, oh, we're going to go fight for Dragon, we're going to fight for Baron. They'll bait you into somewhere where they want you, and like, all right, nice, you're right where we want you, and they're off doing something else on the other side of the map. So Cloud9 looks tactically like a better team.
You have to always be planning at least for the next 5 minutes. You can't really play the game reactively anymore. You know, back when I was playing the game, it was just, oh, you just play better than the person who's standing in front of you. You can't do that anymore. You have to plan out the next at least 3 moves that you're going to make.
Well, playing better also helps too. I mean, they won all their lanes
That's
too.
one.
They won all their lanes too. So.
We'll have to see if TSM can plan a little bit better coming into Game 2. We do have to go to a quick break while we rebuild the Nexus for that second game of Team SoloMid and Cloud9. Don't go anywhere. The 2014 Spring Playoffs return after this.